It's the final road course event of the season for the NASCAR Pinty Series. 25 drivers are ready to tackle the famed road course at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. For title seekers, a victory today could be the key piece in a championship.
The chase for the 2019 NASCAR Pinty Series trophy has been a hard-fought battle on some of Canada's most challenging and unique tracks. Last week in NASCAR overtime at Riverside Speedway in Nova Scotia, Hathaway dropped the hammer and won at all costs to take his first win of the season. Now the series returns to Canada's track, the old Mosport circuit, always showcasing the talent of Canada's series. Today, points leader Andrew Ranger tries to fend off and determine Kevin Lacroix as the battle to call oneself the king of the True North, strong and fast, continues. Welcome to race number 10 of the 2019 NASCAR Pinty Series here on TSN. We're at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Total Quartz 200. I'm Dave Bradley along with Adam Ross and Todd Lewis and Clinton Jeffrey, both working pit lane here today. Adam, CTMP always provides with a great backdrop, and it always delivers some fabulous racing.
Dave, we come here twice a year in this legendary track with its high speeds and its drastic elevation changes, along with the great road racers we have in this series. That's what combines to always give us these great shows.
And with 4 races to go, Andrew Ranger holds an 11-point lead over Kevin Lacroix. LP Dumoulin and Alex Tagliani making late-season charges for their championship efforts, too.
Through the early part of this race season, it was Ranger and Lacroix back and forth before Ranger extended his lead. The title story took a big turn, though, last week at Riverside Speedway. Kevin Lacroix dominated early, but in the end, a green-white checker made for a dramatic finish.
Dramatic being an understatement. Watch this. And from there, a little payback as Hathaway dove underneath the 74 after getting into the back of him.
You hit me a little, I hit you a lot.
All good here. No pressure. No pressure. Yeah!
And that's Jason Hathaway going to victory lane for the first time here in 2019.
After the race, Kevin Lacroix was vocal on social media, directing a post towards Hathaway stating, #someone better think about building a new car. Hathaway responded with his own hashtag, someone should focus on the championship.
Both Lacroix and Hathaway commented on their posts.
You know, I led the whole race and got pushed around in the last lap, and you know, that's a way to win, but you know, that's another way to make somebody unhappy, and something can happen. So there's 3 or 4 races to go, and we'll see.
Yeah, we fired out a little bit on Instagram there, so I shot back a little bit. But he really needs to focus on a championship, and I need to focus on some wins.
Well, I think cooler heads have prevailed in the days that have passed since, Dave, but we all know racers have very long memories.
And Lacroix spoke loudly in qualifying yesterday, put in a time of 1 minute 22.258 seconds. That's his first E3 Sparkplug Pole Award of the year. Now with more on today's race, let's go down to Todd and Clinton.
One of the cars to watch today, the 22 of Marc-Antoine Camirand. He has been fast, but it has been a frustrating season, has not been able to score a victory. Talked to him a little bit earlier today. He said he would be fast, he would be aggressive. I know guys are running for a championship, but I'm running for a victory. Watch for Mark to try to pick up that first victory on a road course for the 22.
Well, guys, we have 2 Americans on the field today. Julie Ann Lauer is making her 4th start and her first in a road course in a DJ Kennington Prepared Dodge. The second is 17-year-old Chandler Smith. He comes to us from Talking Rock, Georgia, and they're logging laps in preparation for 2020.
And that's what the Pinty Series gives you. It's a great training ground, strong oval schedule, unparalleled road racing.
And a variety of different tracks is what brings these drivers back. Let's go down for today's command from Total Lubricants, Jack Fazoli.
Drivers, start your engines.
And that's the sound we've been waiting to hear at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as a strong field of NASCAR Pinty Series race cars come to life.
We had a look on board with Gary Clute. We're going to ride along as well with David Thorndike in the number 67.
So the drivers making all their final preparations inside their race cars. When we return, we'll take the green in the Total Quartz 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This NASCAR Pinty Series race from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is brought to you by Pinty's, making great food fun. Mopar, we built it, we know it. And by General Tire.
Dave, it's a big day. An enormous crowd is on hand for this race as the field scrubbing their tires, getting ready for the green flag that's coming right up.
A large field of cars today. Let's take a look at your General Tire starting lineup. Kevin Lacroix on pole, as we mentioned. Alex Tagliani lines up alongside. Row number 2 has Marc-Antoine Cameron in the 22. Andrew Ranger, your points leader, in the 27.
We go back to the third row to get our first taste of Ontario. Gary Clute in the 59, Anthony Simone alongside in the number 1. Back to row 4, we've got LP Dumoulin in the 47 and Alex Labbe in the 36.
Let's take a look back to row number 5. That's where we find DJ Kennington in the 17, JF Dumoulin in the 04. Row number 6 has Chandler Smith. Strong qualifying effort for the driver in the 26, and Malcolm Strawn in the 56.
Row number 7, Ryan Clute in the 42, alongside last week's winner, Jason Hathaway in the Kubota number 3. To the 8th row, Simone Dion-Vienne, a new look on his number 37, and Donald Teague in the 24.
Looking back to row number 9, Kevin Poitras makes his return to the series in the 33. Julia Landauer back in the 28. Row 10 has Larry Jackson in the 21 and JF Laberge in the 91.
To row 11 we go. Starting on the inside, it'll be Mark Dilley in the 64 to his outside teammate, TJ Arenamato. Row 12 has Jocelyn Fecto in the 77 alongside Raymond Gay in the 20. And rounding out the field, David Thorndike from Oshawa in that 67.
So as the field continues to build some temperature in these General Tires on this beautiful day on a challenging circuit, Adam, let's take a look at today's E3 Spark Plugs race analysis, and there's a lot of different storylines we'll be following here today.
The fun thing about racing at CTMP is this is our only road races with pit stops. 51 laps, teams are going to have to come in for fuel to make it to the end. Whether or not they take on 4 tires is up to them, but generally the winning strategy is 4 tires and fuel.
We'll have a number of different on-board looks from several different drivers around this track, but you can see the crowd is huge today and good passing areas on this track, and the drivers are very familiar with the circuit, being the fact that we race here twice in the past couple years.
We're in one of those great passing zones right now. Turn 3 is a spot where someone can outbreak their competition, Dave, and they're just heading in towards Moss Hairpin, another great passing zone.
Well, Adam, as we mentioned, there are a number of stories that will be played out over the course of this race, and with more, let's send it down to Todd.
Another of the drivers to keep an eye on is the 47 of LP Dumoulin. The team had trouble in practice, broke a transmission. They replaced it, good in qualifying, starting 7th, sitting 3rd in the championship. He hasn't given up hope of being the first repeat champion in the NASCAR Pinty Series.
It's quite fascinating. That's a record that hasn't been broken in 12 years of trying, Dave.
It really is hard to believe. You consider the caliber of drivers who have won championships in this series.
We've had drivers with prolific seasons. They just haven't been able to follow up with that same level. You saw a car slow on the back straightaway. That's Alex Labbe in the Hotel La Concorde number 36. Unapproved changes after qualifying. He has to start at the back.
NASCAR has given the command for the field to double up down the Andretti straightaway, and they do exactly that, finding their side-by-side formation as we head towards turn number 8. This is where the drivers start to check themselves. 51 laps the distance here in the Total Quartz 200 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. There's a championship on the line, and that is weighing on the minds of several of these drivers.
And there's a lot of battles on the go. Remember, when you lead a lap in one of our races, it's a bonus this point. Kevin Lacroix wants to be sure he cashes in. Andrew Ranger right behind him on the outside also wants to get up there and steal that point.
Could Gary Clute play the role of spoiler today? He's been fast here in the past. The green flag is out and we're underway.
Down off turn number 1, Kevin Lacroix with a great start, but Alex Tagliani also doing a nice job to settle into that second position. A little bit of fuel coming out the overflow at Tagliani's right rear as he comes off turn 2.
Now, there will be a lot of strategy at play here today, and that may be one of the strategies for the 18. Pack that fuel cell as tight as you can with fuel, and they might be going a great distance right off the hop.
We ride along with JF LeMaire in the 91. He's fairly deep in the field. As we look back through the top 10 or so, everyone is sorted out single file. A battle between Donald Teach in the 24 and Ryan Clute in the 42, racing for the 13th spot.
Side by side through turn number 6 onto the Andretti straight. It looks like Teach will get the spot in the Cirque Reactor at number 24.
Just about everybody single file as Kevin Lacroix leads the train down into turn number 8, a high-speed sweeping right-hand turn before the 90-degree turn 9, 90-degree turn 10, back to the start-finish line.
Love this look from turn number 9. You can see these cars really hanging it out as they try to get set for turn number 10 and head back on the front straightaway.
If you remember back in the day, we actually have to go back to the NASCAR days where the racing line was over the rumble strips and airborne. Guys like Peter Gibbons, Don Thompson, Kerry Mix. It's a much more refined style. They still hang the back ends of the cars out, but you don't see them up in the air as much, taking advantage of those inside rumble strips.
It's battle for third now between the 22 of Marc-Antoine Cameron and the 27 of Andrew Ranger.
Feathering that throttle through turn 4, down into turn 5. Keep in mind, Ranger wants to get up there and take a point for leading a lap, but he's got 3 very good drivers ahead of him.
He's even tucking his head in the draft down the Andretti straightaway, trying to get every ounce of horsepower out of that Mopar Dodge.
He might be looking down to make sure his foot's reaching the floorboard on that gas pedal.
Could be the 22 managed to pull him a little bit down the straightaway and into turn number 8.
Lacroix still leading them through 9 into 10. You see Alex Tagliani still with a bit of fuel coming out that overflow on the right rear corner of the race car. It's really not a huge deal, Dave. That happens with full fuel cells, but for the drivers immediately behind him, it might be a bit of a concern.
Tagliani able to close the gap on your race leader in the EpiPen Rona number 18 Chevrolet as they work their way through turn number 2. There you see the fuel overflow coming out of the back of that Chevy Camaro.
Down into 3, every corner they run, Tagliani's running a little bit tighter line, keeping that car pinched down just slightly. We've got a problem. That's Ryan Clute, the legendary motor car number 42.
And it appears to be in turn number 1. The vehicle stopped in the runoff area and still under green flag conditions as he tries to refire as the leaders now head down the back straightaway.
Look at Marc-Antoine Cameron in that 22. He's closing the gap on that lead duo, leaving Andrew Ranger a little bit behind as they work towards the top of the hill and then down into that high-speed corner 8.
I'm a little bit surprised to not see the 74 really set sail and open up a big gap on the rest of the field as he's done in years past here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but the 18 is keeping him very, very honest in the early going.
I've believed for quite some time as the yellow flag is now out, Ryan Clute's car in a bad spot.
Yeah, unable to get that one refired, so he'll need to be helped off the racetrack by the cleanup crew.
But I do believe we're seeing the maturing of Kevin Lacroix as a driver, and it's not always to your benefit as Larry Jackson ducks onto pit road. It's not always to your benefit to get way out front and use up a lot of brakes, a lot of tires.
Jackson taking on a little bit of fuel, so it'll be a short pit for the 21 team as they try to roll the dice on some strategy. That's early for a pit stop. We'll see how it plays out. Kevin Quartz also in the 33. We'll be back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Welcome back to a sunny day here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Total Quartz 200, race number 10 of the NASCAR Pinty Series. As we get set for restart number 1, the 42 car has been held back to the paddock in the field, lined up to go racing once again.
We ride along with his brother, Gary Clute, the driver of the 59. That's whose camera we're enjoying right now. Of course, brother Ryan Clute with issues, and it looks like his day is a short one today, Dave.
Sounds like transmission issues on the 42 car. But coming through turn number 10, look at how slow the field is working its way through 9 and 10. Now onto the front straightaway. Kevin Lacroix bringing him back. Now he jumps on the loud pedal and heads to turn 1.
There's been a lot of funky stuff going on the road courses the last few races with starts and restarts. I believe when you're the front row like they are, a slow approach to the restart is the best way to keep the funny stuff from happening behind you, Dave.
Well, it does raise the anxiety of the drivers in behind because they're expecting to go, and sometimes they don't go as soon as they think they will. As the field starts to filter out single file, there is Alex LeVay on the outside of Donald Teach.
We ride on board with J.F. LeBairs not far behind that battle. Between him and those two is Mark Dilley in the 64.
See the field snaking its way down through turn 4, up into turn 5. A couple drivers taking a look. That's the 28, Julian Landauer. Some contact with the 26 of Chandler Smith. Welcome to the NASCAR Pinty Series, Chandler Smith.
That was a nice pass by Julia Landauer down through the Moss hairpin to pick up a position.
Waited till the door opened. It did, and she put her car in the right spot. Making her 7th start in the NASCAR Pinty Series is Julia Landauer.
Marc-Antoine Cameron of the GM Paillet number 22 applying the pressure to Alex Tagliani as Kevin Lacroix a couple of car lengths out ahead of those two. This time Andrew Ranger staying right up on the back bumper of Cameron, but so is everybody else in the top 10. We're not seeing much separation here.
No, everybody single file as Ranger takes a peek into turn number 1. Doesn't quite have the run on the 22 of Cameron. He's happy to stick in behind.
It's great to listen to these drivers on the throttle because that separates the great from the good at CTMP is how quickly and how loud you can get on the gas pedal, even though when most of your instincts are saying, my goodness, what are you doing?
Especially in a corner like turn 2, at a place like turn number 4, you've got these big downhill blind apex turns at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They make you grow up in a hurry. We ride on board with Anthony Simoni. Some good news coming out of the CBRT camp. Joey McComb and his wife, a brand new baby girl, growing the Pinty Series paddock by 1. We welcome baby girl Marlo to the NASCAR Pinty Series.
And great to see Anthony Simoni giving that one machine a good run for the CBRT group. Right up there behind Gary Clute. In fact, if you look at the top 10, everybody with the exception of Anthony Simoni and J.F. Dumoulin, a couple spots behind, are winners in the NASCAR Pinty Series. He's in some pretty good company right now.
Is indeed. Andrew Ranger did a little agricultural racing off the exit of turn number 10, pushing the 27. This is in turn number 8, and Mark Dilley in the 64 with some issues in the Auto Value Leland Ford Fusion.
Yeah, the track's over there and he's over here.
Have another look from the 91 of J.F. LeBairs. Under the bridge, down the back straightaway. That's Dilley right on the right.
Contact with LeBairs, and that's what would have sent Dilley skating across the racetrack, most likely spiking the brakes to avoid more contact, and it shoots the car straight up the track.
The good news, there is significant paved runoff in turn number 8. That allows him to hang back onto it. The car still in one piece, and Dilley still in the race, and we're still under green.
So once again, Kevin Lacroix out in front is, wow, this is early for Alex Tagliani. He peels off the racetrack. I don't know if this is a scheduled stop or not, Dave. Usually, they'd wait until lap 12 or 13 to come in for fuel.
Let's head down to Clinton.
Alex Tagliani will jump here into the pits, the first car on pit road, and they will fill it up with fuel and get this rolling machine back to the speedway.
And we got problems in turn number 10, the 28 of Landauer, hard into the tire wall. That will draw the full course caution.
And if you're Tyler Case, the crew chief for Alex Tagliani, that's exactly what you wanted. Come into the pits, yellow comes out, nobody else has gotten to pit. That will lead to good track position for Alex Tagliani, and that is serious damage to Julia Landauer.
And Mark Dilley takes the opportunity to head down pit road as Landauer continues with smoke. Todd?
64 team having a look at that left rear after the off-track excursion. Want to make sure that none of the suspension pieces is broken, and the crew having a look, and everything so far seems okay. They're waiting to see if Mark Dilley can return to the field.
Reno Montanari, Claire Bartlett having a good look, along with some NASCAR officials. They want to make sure nothing's leaking out of that race car that would cause a safety concern. But I think we can see part of the cause of that caution. Chandler Smith in the 26 and Julia Landauer in the 28. You've got to look way up at the top of the screen.
And you catch the end of it. That's Landauer backing it into the tire wall, but there you see the damage to the nose of the 26. Of the 17-year-old from Talkin Rock, Georgia, who continues around. Landauer has found her pit stall.
And I could see that from where we were sitting. I could look down. Chandler Smith really drove that car in pretty late. Julia Landauer, significant damage.
Some of the Kyle Busch KBM truck teams helping out the 28 team, but some of the leaders are in. Clinton?
Jason Hathaway pulls the number 3 car in. They will go for a quick splash of gas and a small adjustment on the right rear.
47 along pit road. The fuel can stabbed into the rear. A significant handling adjustment going on to the 47 as well. They should be good with fuel.
That was fairly close to that fuel can being stuck in the car as LP pulled away. The fuel man did a great job of pulling that out hard enough to get it away from the race car. We'll be going back to green when we return for the Total Quartz 200 at CTMP.
Welcome back to the 10th race of the 2019 NASCAR Pinty Series on TSN. We're at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Total Quartz 200. The two men who are in championship contention lead the field as we get set for the second restart of the day. But we salute all of those who celebrate a birthday on this day. Sean Connery, Billy Ray Cyrus, Gene Simmons, Bronte Tagliani, and Oshweekend Wall of Fame member Adam Ross.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
I did not see that coming. Thanks, Dave.
At least we're not singing.
I appreciate that as well, and I'm in pretty good company, eh? Sean Connery, Bronte Tagliani, Gene Simmons.
Absolutely. You're as talented as all the rest of them as we go back to green here in the Total Quartz 200.
Now, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, lap number 1 of GP3R? Phenomenal lap between Kevin Lacroix, Andrew Ranger. Keep in mind, Ranger wants a bonus point for leading a lap. Can he get around Kevin Lacroix?
And will he get the bumper out to do it? He's close going into turn number 3, a crossover move. Lacroix has enough to keep the Mopar Dodge at bay.
Look at the top right corner of the screen, Dave. Lap 13 of 51. They were so close going through turn 3. Now into 4. Ranger with a tighter line down into 4.
Doesn't have enough to poke a nose going into turn number 5. Can he do it on the exit of 5? Not quite, as the bumper-to-bumper Total number 74 slams the door.
Man, oh man, that is hard racing this early in the event. A lot of teams came into the pits under that yellow. I've got to believe Kevin Lacroix and Don Thompson Jr., I'm sure they've got a strategy, but one of their objectives has to be to keep the 27 from leading a lap. But how long do you keep your driver out on the racetrack?
Riding on board the Jim Bray entry, the 56 of Malcolm Strawn having a quietly solid day as he continues to work his way up through the field. He took advantage of those pit stops where everybody stopped in front of him. Now he finds himself in the top 5.
LP Dumoulin to the inside of Renamato. JF Dumoulin as well. Anthony Simoni trying to squeak through as well. TJ Renamato did not come into the pits under that yellow.
And Renamato with the 3-car of Jason Hathaway all over him. A battle for 13th. Renamato will be crowned the Jostens Rookie of the Year here for 2019.
I don't think he feels like celebrating right now. He is being harassed by Jason Hathaway after getting passed by 3 cars in one. Oh, man, that was almost catastrophe for Renamato, but he hangs on to it.
You don't want to lose it in turn number 3 because you get into the grass and you are a passenger. Here comes now Teach to the inside. He won't be able to sneak up alongside the 0-2 of Renamato. We'll see if he can do it on the backstretch with a 37 of Simone Zion-Vienne. New look to that team here this weekend.
Isn't that a great-looking car? Rule number 1, don't interrupt your partner, and I just walked all over you.
But is. That's worthwhile.
I see what you did there. That Russo Metals 37 is gorgeous.
Really is. Seems to be going pretty well here today as well. As look at Malcolm Strawn starting to pressure the Castrol Dodge of DJ Kennington. Strawn with 1 top 10 last year coming here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He's only run in 2 other NASCAR Pinty Series races.
He looks right at home in that 56 car, and historically, that car does very well here at CTMP. They always run a unique pit strategy that puts them at or near the front for the middle stages of this race.
Riding on board the Silverline Tools, number 1 of Anthony Simoni, chasing the Rona EpiPen Chevrolet of Alex Tagliani. And that's not too far behind your race leader. As you can see, the battle for 3rd just ahead of those 2 cars as everybody's starting to bunch up once again.
Yeah, it's funny how the field accordions as JF LeBerge on pit road and that Dagobert 91, the team looking under the back end.
So trouble for the team of the Dumoulin Competition shop. JF LeBerge has run a series of road course events with the NASCAR Pinty Series here in 2019. Unfortunately, hasn't had the finishes that he's been looking for. And look at Strawn to the inside in turn number 8. All kinds of crossways.
Unbelievable. Nice pass by Strawn. I think TJ Kennington is headed towards the pits.
He is indeed taking the opportunity to make his stop. Now we're around lap 15. This is where we thought all of the leaders would be coming in.
Traditionally, this is when they come in. Add one more challenge for these drivers. Because the trucks are here this weekend, they have all the scoring loops in place on pit road. That means they have to follow the pit road speed limit as per NASCAR. So DJ Kennington heading down to Todd.
17 hits his mark. The fuel probe goes in the back. They are done. They're giving DJ Kennington the sign. He's on away.
And you see the teams paying special attention to get that fuel can out of the car after what we saw earlier this season at Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières.
Andrew Ranger closing once again on Kevin Lacroix. Down into the Moss hairpin. Lacroix out in front by half a car length.
Not by much as Andrew Ranger pressuring your race leader. Kevin Lacroix on the Total Lubricants. Bumper to bumper, number 74 Dodge. He'll hold that defensive line down the inside of the straightaway for a little bit.
Up ahead of these 2 leaders, it's Julia Landauer in the number 28. She's a couple of laps down, fighting hard not to go 3 laps down in that race car, but that team did a really nice job getting the car back together, and it's competitive enough that she's been out ahead of these guys for a couple of laps, but they're starting to close in quickly.
The car's not quite as pretty as it was when we took the drop of the initial green, but it still seems to be working okay. She'll be seeing the leaders come up in her rearview mirror very shortly. One driver who's out of this race and not all that pleased is standing by on pit lane with our very own Todd Lewis. Todd standing by with Mark Dilley. Todd?
Yeah, guys, this is as frustrated as we've seen Mark Dilley. I know the broken shock is what's put you out, but what happened out there?
The 91 guy you just drove right in the side of him, and it busted the rear end out of it. That's what happens with a shock. The rear end's busted. I mean, hey, guys, hitting everything in sight. It's unbelievable. It's just unreal. He's beside me on the other, just turns right over the front. I ain't seen 36 years. I ain't seen anything like it. I mean,
wow. Mark Dilley, as we said, we've seen him in some phenomenal battles at the receiving end. He's pretty ticked off. I might think, Dave, because that happened on the fastest corner that we run all season long, that might have a little bit to do with it as well. Contact at a short track is expected. Contact in that part of a racetrack that's so treacherous, it'll get your adrenaline flowing.
Going to say a little bit further to Mark Dilley, the team owner, Mix Motorsports. Kerry Mix going to make his return to the driver's seat for the finale. They're closing down St. Eustache at our next race, the Lucas Oil 250, and Kerry Mix will be in it, and he'll be in it to win it.
Exactly. You can see the spark in his eye when he says that as Alex Tagliani takes over the third position going into turn 1 from Malcolm Strong.
Riding on board with Strawn in the 56 as he'll tuck in behind. He's got the 1 of Anthony Simoni just in behind him. But for Strawn being this far up in the field, this early going in this race, he's got to be pleased with his race so far.
Well, I would think, you know, with every lap, with every corner, you're gaining confidence. Remember, he passed DJ Kennington. That's a very fast race car. He's holding his own with Alex Tagliani and Anthony Simoni.
Mike Knott, the crew chief on the 56 car, calling the shots on that one. And I think you mentioned earlier that you may see a different scenario as far as pit stops go with 56. If there's a driver in the field and a caution, we've got some debris reported, turn number 3. So that is enough for a full course caution once again. But I was going to say the 56, one of those teams that may roll the dice as far as tire strategy goes.
Well, and they always let the race play out, and they always leave themselves some options. You've got the cars that are out front as rabbits, as we see. That's a big chunk of debris. Cars like Kevin Lacroix, Andrew Ranger, who feel they can win the race on speed. But then you've always got a few cars that need strategy or feel they need to play some strategy to manufacture results.
More debris. There are a number of damaged race cars out on the track. The 26 was one of them. He'll come down pit lane. Chandler Smith out of the Steckley Racing Shop is going to take on some new General tires.
The Quick Wick, number 26 of Chandler Smith, as the crew goes to work with officials looking over. Kevin Lacroix remains the leader here at CTMP.
We're still under caution here in the Total Quartz 200. Kevin Lacroix, your leader, is along pit lane along with a host of others.
The EpiPen 18 here of tags is back in. They will put left sides on and get him ready to roll once more.
Leader arrives on pit lane. Scheduled stop for fuel. Little difficulty getting the probe in. Remember, they had problems at GP3R releasing the fuel can. They're making sure this time Kevin Lacroix is away. The 47 right behind him, in for 4 tires. The crew goes over the wall to change the left side generals first. They'll swing back, then change the 2 right side tires. LP Dumoulin service done for the day.
This is where that cat and mouse game between Kevin Lacroix and Andrew Ranger is really going to come into play, because we've got a lot of good cars who have now taken on fuel and tires. You have to pit twice because you can't add fuel and change tires on the same stop in this series. Andrew Ranger is out on the racetrack. He's going to get his bonus point, but at what cost?
He's going to hope for another caution to come relatively soon. You see the crew talking this over. We'll be back on TSN. You're watching NASCAR Pinty Series racing on TSN. Andrew Ranger and his Mopar Dodge leads the Total Quartz 200. Alongside him is a Jim Bray-owned number 56, piloted by Malcolm Strong.
I have a feeling Malcolm Strong's got to be pretty pumped up about where he is. And look at this, Kevin Lacroix heading onto pit road, coming to the green. What a move of strategy by Don Thompson Jr.
Yeah, we've been talking about it all day, potentially rolling the dice, but Kevin Lacroix, second in points coming into this event, is making a pit stop just as the field goes back to green.
Todd's in his pit stall waiting for him.
An interesting strategy call by the 74 team as we go back to green. They are along pit road for fresh left side tires. The crew will move over, then put 4 fresh generals on the right side of that 74. Going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
I love the call, Dave. Kevin Lacroix now has all of his servicing done. Andrew Ranger still has to make 2 more trips down pit road today, but they did get that bonus point.
And Kevin Lacroix will have a wide-open racetrack when he gets back on track, too. He won't have to contend with anybody, at least for a little while. There he goes, the bumper-to-bumper, Total Lubricants number 74, down and away, and off the exit of turn number 1, headed for turn 2.
What's fascinating here is both Ranger and Lacroix put themselves in a position to be at the tail end of the field. The third driver in our championship battle is LP Dumoulin. He's won here before. Maybe he's the intelligent one or the brilliant one, and he's going to work to the front.
Funny you bring up his name. We're getting notice from race control. The 47 is being called in to serve a penalty.
Oh, no.
That's heartbreak for the driver. Third in points coming into this event.
Pitting outside the box. Dave, that's a one-lap penalty on pit road.
And that is going to hurt. There's a good look at your race leader, Andrew Ranger, getting pressure now from the 59 of Gary Clute. Former winner here is Gary Clute.
Gary Clute has seen that Mopar back bumper of Andrew Ranger before as LP Dumoulin comes in to serve his penalty.
And Todd is standing by in his pit. Todd?
47 along pit road and being held for a penalty by the NASCAR official. They are pitting outside the pit box on their last stop, and that's why they are being held for a penalty.
You notice one of the crew members go to the back tire as well, putting a lug nut back on there and tightening it up.
And that can be a gray area too. You're not supposed to service a car while you're serving a penalty unless they say it's a safety concern, and a NASCAR official allowed that to happen.
Sammy Putnam, the longtime NASCAR official, standing there in front of the car, so he knows what he's doing. He's not a rookie to this game, as the battle at the front is starting to heat up.
Gary Clute had a look to the inside down into turn number 8, tailing the 27 of Andrew Ranger. And what I'd started to say is he's seen the back end of Ranger before here at CTMP. In fact, he saw the back end of Ranger make contact with Scott Steckley, and the seas parted for Gary Clute to drive through and take his first series win.
Clute with veteran crew chief John Fletcher guiding him this weekend. Of course, John Fletcher picking up a win with Raphael Lessard at Autodrome Chaudière earlier in the season.
I've got to think one of the best things that ever happened to John Fletcher was connecting with the Clute family at Legendary Motor Car. He's had a great run there. Hope he has a lot more success there as well. Little he's off the throttle there, just little burps here and there through that high-speed turn.
They call him the smiling assassin because Gary Clute always has a huge grin on his face in the paddock area, but when it comes time to race, he's deadly.
He's all business.
He is indeed.
Look at him close in on that number 27 down towards turn number 8.
The outside's not a bad option in turn number 8. Sets you up nicely for turn number 9, but Clute doesn't quite have enough. You know what I've noticed down that Andretti straightaway, what you don't realize is the England. We've got a car down pit lane, and it's your race leader, Andrew Ranger, heading for his service here on lap 24.
You would expect Ranger will come down, take a full load of fuel, or at least enough fuel to get him to the finish. It doesn't take a full can by any stretch.
And Todd is waiting all the way down at the other end of pit lane for Ranger to make his stop. Here he comes.
Now the points leader along pit road for their scheduled stop for fuel. Probe goes in, catch can is in, extra man over the wall to help push him away as soon as the tank is full.
Lights up the General Tires on the exit to pit lane does Andrew Ranger as he looks to jump back in the fray.
Malcolm Strawn still hanging in there well inside the top 10. Simone Dion-Vienna, that 37, doing a nice job as well. But here comes Tagliani.
It's a battle for 6. Tagliani the inside, the exit of turn number 5. A good passing opportunity. Simone Dion-Vienna though in the 37. The Ford Fusion powers up the inside of turn number 6. A drag race down the Andretti straightaway.
It's not easy to hold your own on the outside of turn number 5. Simone Dion-Vienna win this spot or lose this spot, he's going to feel pretty good about his driving effort there.
And it looks like he will relinquish that spot to the 18 of Tagliani, the 37 out of the Dave Jacobs shop. And there is another Dave Jacobs prepared car, the 36 of Alex LeBay, who's having very much a resurgent day here, sitting in second position.
It's been a character-building season for Alex LeBay, let's say. Not the performance he was hoping for, but when you end the season strong, it really sets the tone for the long off-season.
Absolutely. The Hotel La Concorde, Silver Wax number 36, looking for a solid finish in a place that Alex LeBay has been good before. He's always done well here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
And how about JF Dumoulin, the Spectra Premium 04? You know, I loved it when he was racing full-time with the series, but I prefer seeing him on a part-time basis, but contending for podium finishes. And I don't know that them focusing on a full season took away from his road racing efforts, but I can tell you, watching him this year, it's a different driver and a different car than we've seen in years past.
Well, they had more time to prepare the cars for these longer road races, and this is what JF Dumoulin is good at. This is what he's trained to do, essentially, in his upbringing, coming out of the open-wheel cars, and this is where Dumoulin has shined in the past.
So out in front, all by his lonesome, is Gary Clute in that 59 as we have a battle here. JF Dumoulin's gotten around the 36 of Alex LeBay. Malcolm Strawn not quite close enough to capitalize.
Power on the outside for the Spectra Premium 04 of JF Dumoulin.
And there we see the 3 of Jason Hathaway battling with the 18 of Alex Tagliani. That's a race for the 5th spot down into turn 1.
Couple of Chevy Camaros nose to tail through 1. They'll drift out into that runoff area and head towards turn number 2. And Tagliani looking to make a move. He's alongside the Kubota Chevy of Hathaway in turn number 2.
Quite often when someone makes that move to the inside and you're the driver stuck on the outside, you've got to think, okay, you want that way more than I do at the moment. Away you go. Because that's another one, especially before they paved that runoff area. Turn 2 was a no-go side by side.
We're just over the halfway mark of this 51-lap Total Quartz 200 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, so there is still a lot of racing to play out here today.
Tagliani right up on the rear bumper of Malcolm Strawn as they go into turn number 5. He runs in the 5th spot. They're second back through 5th, all in a tight pack down the back straightaway with Gary Clute a couple of football fields ahead.
Set up a nice draft into turn number 8. You can see Clute, and there he is the lead over the 04 of Dumoulin. LeBay to the inside, and Tagliani right around the outside. Looks like LeBay has some problems down the straightaway. That's a couple of positions now he's lost.
Yeah, the car kind of laid over for LeBay. Tagliani has gotten around him. I'm trying to see if LeBay can hold pace with that 18, if he was just being conservative and letting them go, or if there's a problem under the hood of that 36.
Well, the engine still seems to be on song as it passes our position here on the racetrack, so firing on all cylinders. That's the good news.
Tagliani this time will follow the driver in front of him down through turn number 2. Is he going to swing out and get the inside line into 3? He had a look, but Malcolm Strawn had a nice run off of 2 down into turn 3. Tagliani shadowing that number 57.
Tagliani is really good here. He's been frustrated with some bad luck in the past. He eventually broke through, did capitalize, take a victory here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Turn 5 is the place he'll make the move here on Malcolm Strawn into 3rd spot for the EpiPen Rona Chevrolet of Alex Tagliani, but it looks like he's got another good run going here today.
And Alex LeBay right behind that 56, so I would say he was just being conservative, letting those drivers go last time by, because he's right up behind the 56 of Strawn.
Dear Malcolm Strawn, you've raced touring cars here. You have a lot of laps here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but you're mixing it up with drivers like Kennington, Tagliani. You got to be really smiling. And now the 59, Gary Clute, it hits his turn to get some service.
He maximized that entry to pit road, locked up the left front tire for just a second, and now the painful, slow march down pit lane where Clinton Jeffrey is waiting to call the stop.
And the leader will pit here under green. Pulls it onto pit road for a 4-tire stop. They will get to work on this one. A very important pit stop here for Gary Clute.
So the right side of the car up in the air now, and everything is backwards here at CTMP for the driver. You pull into the right side of pit lane. Got to be a little bit different feel, Dave.
Yeah, and you can see Gary Clute just waiting patiently. He's waiting for crew chief John Fletcher to say go, and now he gets the green light to hit the gas. This, though, a battle for the lead. The 04 is your new race leader with that pit stop from Gary Clute. He's got company in Alex Tagliani and LeBay down pit road.
Just when it looked like the luck might be turning for the 36, not so much. Alex LeBay is now climbing out. He was in the top 5. They had stopped for fuel. He did not stop for tires yet, but they were in a pretty good position late in this race.
Alex LeBay knows as much about his race car as anybody in our series. That's as angry as you'll ever see Alex LeBay. That look that he had, the body language, and J.F. Dumoulin headed towards the pits.
Taking the opportunity from the race lead in the Spectra Premium 04 Dodge Charger, J.F. Dumoulin. Heading down pit lane, and Clinton is waiting for him in his pit stall. Clinton?
04 of Dumoulin into the pits. They will also put on 4 tires and work their way back to it. Been a solid day for this team so far. They're looking to keep it up.
Having a little bit of troubles there on the left front is the Dumoulin team. The nice thing here, he was the race leader, so he's got about 1 minute and 25 seconds to get the work done and get back on the racetrack without losing a lap.
Well, that's the thing. You don't see the crews get too panicked on pit road when things do go awry. A battle for 4th, not much of a battle, as Anthony Simoni in the silver line number 1 picks up the spot around the Kubota number 3 of Jason Hathaway.
Anthony Simoni just giving that Silverline Tools car a great drive this afternoon. How exciting would it be to see Anthony Simoni back on the podium? I'll bet you it's been 10 years.
Oh, man, we've talked how many times about the bad luck Anthony Simoni has had in any time the Pinty Series comes to town, whether it's on a road course, an oval, street course, it doesn't matter. The one car seems to have been bitten with every bit of bad luck.
Here's a race for the 6th position. Simon Dion-Vienne, the 37, has it. DJ Kennington, the Casserole Edge 17, wants it.
Simon Dion-Vienne, noted road racer, has raced in sports cars in the past, and here he jumps into the Pinty Series where he hasn't historically done too well, but today he's really turning some heads. That car seems very comfortable underneath the driver out of Quebec.
I like the relationship they forged with Dave Jacobs. It's hard to be a part-time team, come in and be competitive. You make a relationship like that, now you can focus on your driving, you can focus on the execution of a race, rather than all the stuff that goes on at the shop behind the scenes.
And when you're mixing it up with a driver like the driver of the Castrol Edge Dodge, DJ Kennington, and leading Kennington, you know you're doing something right. The top 3, Tagliani, Strawn, and Cameron, that's the way they run at the front of the field here in the Total Quartz 200.
DJ Kennington kind of stalking Simon Dion-Vienne's 37. They're right behind Jason Hathaway in the 3. When you watch DJ Kennington race, you might as well be reading a textbook. He never puts the car in a position he doesn't want it to be in. He's always thinking about the last lap and where he wants to be approaching that.
And it's rare if that car comes back in a basket. That 17 Dodge always looks as good at the end of a race as it does at the beginning of it.
Down through turn number 2, he pushed it a little bit, got the car wiggly. He'll make a look to the inside in 3.
Can't quite make it stick. Now they're starting to stack up behind the Kubota Chevrolet of Jason Hathaway. Simon Dion-Vienne starting to get racy and look for a way by. Can he do it in turn number 5 on the exit of 4? Not quite close enough there.
It's almost like hearing that DJ Kennington was making a move from his spotter, encouraged Dion-Vienne to get up on the wheel himself and try to battle Hathaway.
Here they go, nose to tail. Down the Andretti straightaway. Say down the Andretti, there's a significant climb out of the exit of turn number 6, up the back straightaway, and then you hit the crest of the hill right about at that Canadian Tire bridge.
The TV cameras are fantastic here, but they really don't give you a full sensation of how drastic the elevation changes are here.
And how difficult this racetrack is for these drivers. Some of these turns, as we mentioned, turn 2 earlier, a blind apex, downhill off camber corner. And if you've driven a race car, you know those are words that shouldn't be said together when you're talking about a quarter.
You make a great point.
Good look at Malcolm Strawn. There is Anthony Simoni, the silver line, number 1. Flashing past. They're in the top 4 as Marc-Antoine Cameron, the GM Paye Chevrolet, the 22, is starting to get racy now. He was quick in practice earlier on this afternoon and yesterday as well, so the 22 has been quick all weekend.
Would you believe me if I told you Marc-Antoine Cameron, who we're looking at right now, has not scored a top 5 finish this season?
It's quite surprising. I mean, that number 22 was so good last year. Of course, Cameron picking up his very first NASCAR Pinty Series win, and we've got moisture out of the 56. You can see it on the windscreen.
And yellow flag on the racetrack. We are under caution. Yeah, that's difficult. That's an irritant to a race car driver. You know nobody wants to be putting fluid on the racetrack, but you really don't want it to land on your windshield. It's hard enough to drive here as it is. We'll be right back on TSN.
David Thorndike from nearby Oshawa, Ontario, has been with the NASCAR Pinty Series right from the start. He has 33 starts. He just loves coming out to run the old Mosport circuit and also on the streets of Toronto as well. We like to see the 67 out.
We're going to have a restart. Alex Tagliani on the inside. Marc-Antoine Cameron on the outside. And they're crashing.
The 0-2 of Ritamato into the pit wall, and there's more wreckage down towards turn number 1.
Gary Clute is in it. Larry Jackson is in it. We have carnage all over the front straightaway.
Obviously, full course caution once again. There he is, the Sunspace number 21 of Larry Jackson. He too up against the inside pit wall. Simon Zion-Vienne in the 37 went for a loop on the entrance to turn number 2.
It looks like we've got 2 separate incidents going on. Dion Vienne was not involved in that deal on the front stretch. We're getting reports that he spun out between turn 1 and 2. Let's have a look. We've been talking restarts. That happened way at the back before the leaders even fired.
Then they all stacked up. Then look at the 59 of Gary Clute. Back just a little bit. There you see the 21 get loose. Bang, into the wall goes Clute, and so does Larry Jackson.
And before that happened, Jason Hathaway had fanned out 3 wide to the outside. And there again, it's not coming from the front row. It's coming from the middle of the field as there's Dion Vienne. Holy moly.
Oh, there's a position you don't want to be in.
Well, thankfully, he's before the hill. Let's have a ride on board. So Gary Clute trying to get the most out of that start. You can see him right up on the bumper. Larry Jackson giving some pushes. TJ Rinamato being tended to by the safety workers. We're going to try this again right after this break.
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. A huge turn of events has occurred while under caution. The 27 of Andrew Ranger suffered a blown tire while under caution, and while circulating around until the pits open, the right rear of his Mopar Dodge shredded apart.
And it took a while for pit road to open. That tire just kept breaking apart and breaking apart. Eventually, suspension damage on that Mopar 27. You can see the spring is just hanging in there.
Bumper bars coming off as well. The crew trying to make a stop. He will restart in 13th. Now, as far as the points are concerned, the 74 of Kevin Lacroix starts in 6th. That's big.
It is big. Kevin Lacroix battling in the top 5. LP Dumoulin back on the lead lap after getting a free pass. This is these drivers' opportunity to make up points. How close can Kevin Lacroix get to the front? Is Kevin Poitras in the 33 racing hard on the outside?
Yeah, and this is a return to the NASCAR Pinty Series for Kevin Poitras, driving out of the Team 3 Orange shop in that 33. And nose clean so far. He's having a good run.
I'm pretty impressed with Gary Clute in that 59. He clobbered the inside wall, but he still seems to be up to speed as we ride along with Andrew Ranger in the 27.
And see all the what looks to be fluid on the front of the Mopar Dodge, the 27 of Ranger. He's lost his rear fender. Now he's hounding the 47 of LP Dumoulin. You have to know that driver is hungry to get back to the front.
And we're seeing that Malcolm Strawn in the 56 has fallen off the pace out on the racetrack. Problems for Strawn with less than 10 laps to go.
Now remember, we saw fluid on the window of the 22 of Marc-Antoine Cameron. That fluid on the 27 as well may have been from the 56.
It does stand to reason that's a possibility as Kevin Lacroix shadowing the 17 of DJ Kennington, trying to march his way back to the front of the field.
Quick ride on board with the driver from Saint-Eustache, Quebec. Turn number 10, a great passing opportunity. They'll drag race down the front straightaway, but Lacroix is in the proper position going into turn number 1.
And DJ Kennington has to be pretty ginger there. He can't slam the door shut because JF Dumoulin is right there.
Dumoulin now on the outside at turn number 2. Man, you hold your breath when you're on the outside. You've got that runoff, and Dumoulin uses all of it and then catapults his way. This a battle for 5th, and the 04 Spectra Premium Dodge will take over.
And right there in 7th is Gary Clute in the 59. He's holding off some good cars as well as we've got trouble. There is the Malcolm Strong 56. That is the exit of turn 5, so he's off into a safe runoff area there.
And that means we'll stay green. 8 laps remaining here in the Total Quartz 200.
You see the Andrew Ranger in the 27. There's some bodywork hanging off the back end of that race car. We'll see if that gets NASCAR's attention.
Quick run on board with the WeatherTech.ca number 47 of LP Dumoulin, but there is your race leader. The Rona EpiPen Chevrolet of Alex Tagliani comes into this one 4th in points, still with a mathematical shot at the championship, but he needs to win.
After our most recent road course, when he lost that win at GP3R with a move around the spun-out 0-2 of TJ Rinamato, you know Tagliani wants redemption today.
Man, if you're Marc-Antoine Cameron, what do? Do you squint to try and see through that windscreen?
I was trying to think of an analogy, and if you take a container of Pinty's wing sauce and throw it at your TV, that's kind of what it seems that it'd be like trying to watch through that haze.
You saw a quick look at Raymond Gay in the 20, who makes the stop with some damage to the nose of his Dodge Challenger. He's down pit lane getting some service as we stay under green.
Well, and reports were that Raymond Gay in the 20 made some contact with Andrew Ranger on that restart. That might have resulted in Ranger's flat right rear tire.
Now you can see the top 5 now opening up a bit of a gap, but we're getting word from NASCAR. They're telling the 27 of Andrew Ranger to pit because of that hanging bodywork.
A day that had great promise for Andrew Ranger has kind of turned sour here as he's going to have to come back to the attention of Dave White and the rest of that Mopar Pennzoil crew.
And this was the day you did not want to have your bad luck. 25 cars in the field, one of the largest fields so far in 2019, and that meant huge points implications.
Yeah, there's about 15, 14 cars still on the lead lap as Andrew Ranger heads down pit road.
And Todd standing by. Todd?
Once again, the 27 car ordered to pit road. There is debris coming off that car that was falling on the track. You can see the metal underneath the deck lid that is dangling. The crew trying to rip that off and clear it away and then send Andrew Ranger back out once again after they make sure everything is secure.
His body language says a lot in that shot from the onboard.
Very subtle difference from the normal Andrew Ranger, but definitely notably discouraged.
There's Raymond Gay just ahead of the race leaders. The 22 will be caught as they work their way through turns 8 and 9. Alex Tagliani, I should say, your race leader in the Rona EpiPen number 18. Had to hold his breath there for a second.
Raymond Gay did not get the memo that the leaders were coming.
They were coming in a hurry.
Nice.
Whoa! What a move from the Saudi 4. Was that a gather-up? Did he almost...
That was a mistake that almost picked him up a position.
I thought he was moving to the inside in turn number 10, but Kevin Lacroix to back out of that one and hung on to it. But that could have been a good day gone bad for the driver of the bumper-to-bumper 74.
Let's have another look at that through turn 9 to the exit. That is a 4-wheel drift, and it is tough to outbreak Anthony Simone anywhere.
Kevin Lacroix was going to give it the old college try in turn number 10, but the field's still bunched. The top 5 all together at the front of this pack.
Unbelievable show, and look at the crowd all around this racetrack. Miles Brandt and the crew here at CTMP, another fantastic job promoting this race, and the people have come from all over.
5 laps to go now. And now the party button gets pushed on all of these cars in the top 5 because they're all within striking distance.
Look at the drivers bouncing around, jostling around. What was he? I think Kevin Lacroix was trying to paddle down the backstretch. Anything to get a little bit more speed.
And you can see he's tucked up behind the 1 of Anthony Simone, trying to use that draft as Simone is doing with the GM Paille number 22 of Marc-Antoine Cameron. Alex Tagliani has opened up a little bit of breathing space. Now comes the 74 to the inside in turn number 10. That's the way he wanted to do it.
He left no doubt there, making that move in turn 10. 4 laps remaining. Andrew Ranger back in 13th position.
That is important because as the 74 continues to pick up spots at the front of the field, the 27 Meyer deep in this pack. Keep in mind, both the 27 and 74 have been so dominant here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They've combined to win 5 of the last 7 races.
Always the class of the field when we come to road course races. I mean, we've got a lot of great road racers out here. We're seeing 4 of them, 5 of them right at the front right now. They're still within a couple hundred feet of each other in that striking distance.
The 04 of J.F. Dumoulin. He's coming on with 4 laps to go. He's been patient all race, hanging just inside the top 5. He's been racy, but now he's starting to turn the wick up on the 1 of Anthony Simone.
Getting close to that Silverline Tools number 1 down the backstretch into turn number 8. I'm not sure if turn 8 is a move Dumoulin would make, but turn 10 sure might be.
Yeah, he'll tuck in behind through turn number 8 into turn number 9, trying to get that run as the 74 did on the lap before. But as you mentioned, Anthony Simone is not one to often leave that door open.
An aggressive racer from start to finish, almost to a fault. Anthony Simone is always at 100%. 3 laps remain, 3 more tours around CTMP. Marc-Antoine Cameron looking for a win, looking to get the 22 into victory lane, and we've got a wreck.
This is in turn number 10, and it's the 33 post-plastics entry of Kevin Poitras, and this is a full course caution. We'll have another look.
J.F. Laberge to the inside, down into 10. That move didn't stand much of a chance there. Contact with Poitras.
A little ambitious, we'll put it that way. As the Dagobert number 91 does a little drifting in the grass, but have another look from on board the 91.
Boy, Dave, but if that had worked.
Yeah, we'd be talking about it for sure. Unfortunately for Laberge, and more unfortunately for Poitras, it did not. You see the damage to the Dagobert number 91.
Kevin Poitras climbing out of that number 33 post-plastics machine. A little bit of help from the safety personnel, and he walks away in disgust.
Yeah, he's got to be disappointed. He had a pretty good run going here today. When we return, we'll take you to the end of the Total Quartz 200. Kevin Poitras' post-plastic Chevrolet gets a helping hand from the safety crew here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as we get set for NASCAR overtime for the 2nd week in a row, Adam.
Green-white checker finish coming right up. Alex Tagliani going to restart from the pole with Marc-Antoine Cameron alongside.
Now the crews are out of this picture. It is all up to the drivers. This is where people like Alex Tagliani, like Kevin Lacroix, Marc-Antoine Cameron, this is where they earn their salaries.
This is where, if you're Kevin Lacroix, are you happy with the points that you're having? Andrew Ranger is back towards the tail end of the top 10, or do you fight for the victory?
Well, if I know Kevin Lacroix, he's never happy with the position he's in. He's already picked up 2nd as Cameron up on the outside will lose 2nd spot to the 74 of Kevin Lacroix.
A great launch by the pole sitter as Anthony Simone had a moment at the exit of turn 1.
The 04 of Dumoulin up along the outside into that painted on the outside of turn number 2 in a battle for third.
Deeper in the field, they're 3 wide down into 3 as J.F. Dumoulin goes around Simone further back. Look at the 47 of LP Dumoulin racing with Gary Clute, Andrew Ranger, the gang's all there.
I was going to say the Mopar Dodge of Andrew Ranger needs to pick up as many positions as he can with 2 laps to go. His rival in the point standings is sitting in second, chasing the race leader as Ranger will pick up a spot underneath the 47 of Dumoulin.
NASCAR overtime rules. Once they cross the white flag, the next flag ends the race. If the yellow comes out before they get to the white flag, they will stack them up and do it all again.
See the white flag this time by Kevin Lacroix, still about 5 car lengths behind the 18 of Alex Tagliani, who has been so strong. Remember, he rolled the dice on an early pit stop strategy in this race, took some fuel. Everybody thought, what is he doing? It seems to have worked out.
He took fuel so early. We've had a lot of yellow flag laps, but we're into overtime. Oh, trouble on the racetrack. LP Dumoulin into the wall coming off of turn 10.
Caught the tire wall. The white flag has been shown, and the caution stays in the flagman's pocket. We will race the final lap under green. Tagliani with Lacroix just in behind.
Kevin Lacroix using all of the runoff room there in turn number 2 to try to get a run on Tagliani. Tag doing a beautiful job right now at the exit of turn 3. Now it'll be down into 4 and 5. He maintains that 6-car length lead.
He is doing everything he needs to do here on this final lap of the Total Quartz 200. The exit of turn 5 is important. It's your drive down the Andretti straightaway.
A great run up the start of the straightaway. Kevin Lacroix looking down at something as he drives down that backstretch. Not close enough to make a move.
Not yet. He tries to pick up a sniff of the draft. Over the hill and under the Canadian Tire Bridge, heading to turn number 8. Still about a 3-car length lead for Alex Tagliani in through turn 8. But look at the slide from the 74 of Lacroix. And he's close. He can make a move into 10. They touch.
Oh, contact. Kevin Lacroix goes around Tagliani. He's going to take the win in the Total Quartz 200. Cameron second, Dumoulin third. Tagliani and Simone rounding out the top 5.
What a job by Tagliani to gather it up in turn number 10 and hang on to a top 5, but this race was his going into the final corner. Let's have another look from on board the 74.
By the time Tagliani tried to close the door into turn 10, Lacroix was already there.
Barely. The 74 had a nose up in there, but he didn't touch the curbing. He maintained the racing line. Tagliani, look at that save to keep it off the wall.
A beautiful save, and Tag's not happy. Contact in turn number 3.
After having a race that he dominated, stolen away in the final corner by the driver, the bumper-to-bumper Total Lubricants number 74, Kevin Lacroix, will get a chance to talk to your winner in victory lane. For the 12th time in his NASCAR Pinty Series career, the 74 is in victory lane. Todd?
For the 2nd time this season, the 5th time in his career, Kevin Lacroix is victorious here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Picks up Son Matthew to help celebrate and hold on to that checkered flag. Basking in it right now. A week ago, you looked like you were on your way to victory. You got shoved out of the way. This time, you were the one that pushed your way forward.
Yeah, what comes around goes around, and it's hard to be the victim. Now it's my turn, and go get for the win. And yeah, happy for the points, happy for the team, and happy to be the pusher this time.
Kevin Lacroix, winner, and having a terrific push towards the championship.
What a move it was. There was just enough room to wedge his car in there. That's exactly what he did and rode it to victory. Here's the Auto Value Top 10.
Anthony Simone coming home with a top 5 finish. You see Kennington, Simone Zion-Vienne inside the top 10, and Julia Landauer. Great rebound.
Phenomenal rebound for Landauer. LP Dumoulin, what could have been? He comes home 13th here this afternoon.
Now let's go down and join Clinton with your 2nd place finisher.
Well, the 22 was fast today, buddy. You got to be real happy and pleased with your drive. Your team put you in a position to win today, and you almost got it done.
Yes, I mean, thanks to the 22 Racing, GM Paye, they gave me a good car this weekend. We had a tough season, but here with the second place, I mean, we deserve it. We work hard. We deserve, the team make a huge effort. Just happy to be back on the podium, and I hope so. We're going to finish the season strong.
JF, a limited schedule this year, but you are making the most of your opportunities. Another podium finish.
Yeah, so we were really strong. The strategy was good. We put tires a little bit late in the race. So we had a good car at the end. We just don't want to keep it safe. Fought with Marc-Antoine a little bit and with Kevin through the traffic. But, hey, that's what NASCAR is all about. We were all close, fought door to door with Marc-Antoine in the last restart. We had a little touch. I went back to fourth. But, yeah, I'm here. I'm happy. Third place. It's great for the Spectra Premium 04 Belmar. For Mitsubishi. We're back. We'll be back next year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You just see a new spark in JF Dumoulin that we didn't see for a little while. Great to see that. Look at the championship standings, Dave.
It's all tied up, and it's nearly coming down to the last two drivers, Andrew Ranger, Kevin Lacroix. LP Dumoulin still with an outside shot, sitting in third.
So challenging with 3 races left. He's going to have to make up 7 points per event. That is a tall order.
The Lacroix tuning team, you see Don Thompson Jr. right front and center in there. They're the big winners here today. The Total Quartz 200 has been brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. By VP Racing Fuel. And by Honeygoo from Clean Flow. One honey of a lube.
What a show today. From here we head to St. Eustache, Quebec for what's certainly to be a bittersweet night, Dave.
We're going to close the place down for all of us here at Fuel Media Lab. We'll see you there.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.